How to be alone to reclaim your inner peace. Why do some people fear being alone, while others find deep joy in it, as if solitude were a secret treasure? Imagine if time spent in silence could become the most transformative journey of your life. What would you discover about yourself? Stay with me, because we're about to explore the hidden beauty of solitude and how being alone can either be your greatest teacher or your deepest trap. Welcome to Live Stoic. Live strong, where we trade illusions for truth, where emotions are felt but not obeyed, where clarity is power and discipline is freedom. This is not just a channel. It's a mindset. It's a journey of conscious living. Let's begin. He who sits alone, sleeps alone, and walks alone, who is strenuous and subdues himself alone, will find delight in the solitude of the forest. The Buddha. There's something profoundly sacred about solitude. Yet for many, it feels like punishment. Some people dread it, like a sickness. Others, however, flourish in it, thriving best when they're far away from the endless buzz of conversation, the constant tug of expectations, and the chaos of modern life. In Western society, where individualism is often celebrated, you'd think solitude would be easier to embrace. But paradoxically, loneliness is one of the most widespread and painful experiences people face. It's a hidden cause behind much of today's emotional suffering: depression, anxiety, even addiction. And sadly, many of us have never been taught how to be alone in a way that feels enriching rather than empty. But solitude doesn't have to be a void. In fact, I believe it can become a powerful container for growth, a place where we reconnect with ourselves, recharge our spirit, and reflect on who we truly are without distraction. That's why in this video, I'll share with you 4 powerful, healthy ways to spend time alone, practical and philosophical tools that can turn solitude into strength. Because not all solitude looks the same. On one extreme, you have hermits, those who've chosen to live far removed from society for spiritual or personal reasons. On the other, you have the quiet seekers, people who intentionally carve out moments of aloneness to meditate, to reflect, or to focus on personal goals. And then, there's the darker side. Loneliness can also become a dangerous space. When isolation turns into resentment or despair, it becomes a breeding ground for emotional decay. You've probably heard the term lone wolf, a phrase often charged with negativity. It's used to describe those whose solitude becomes a harbor for hatred, sometimes leading to destructive acts. So what truly matters isn't whether solitude is chosen or forced, but how we spend that time. That's what defines the outcome, and that's where we can make the difference. Let's begin with the first way to turn time alone into something powerful and nurturing. 1. Be your own best host. This is where it all starts. When you find yourself spending time alone, especially at home, imagine this. You are the guest. You're both the host and the visitor. Now ask yourself, how would I treat someone I cared about who was staying in my space? Would you offer them a warm meal? Or just hand them a cold microwave dinner? Would you let them sit in silence in a messy room? Or create a clean, welcoming space? And most importantly, would you speak kindly to them or criticize them with every thought? Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company." It's a brutally honest truth. If we treat ourselves with indifference, or worse, cruelty, it's no wonder we struggle with solitude. So here's the shift. Start treating your alone time as sacred. Prepare your meals with care, even if no one else is there to see it. Play your favorite music, light a candle, pour a glass of tea like it's a small ceremony. Keep your space clean, not for guests, but for your own peace of mind. Because your environment isn't just a backdrop, it's part of your emotional well-being. When we tidy up our physical world, we create mental clarity. When we show love to ourselves in small daily acts, solitude becomes warm, inviting, nourishing. Being your own best host isn't about indulgence. It's about respecting your own presence. When we begin treating ourselves with kindness and care, like a thoughtful host, solitude becomes less like an empty space and more like a sanctuary. But the next insight may surprise you. 2. Realize that we are always connected. At first, it might sound like a contradiction. How can someone be alone and yet remain connected at the same time? And yet, that's exactly the paradox we need to understand. Most of the time, loneliness creeps in, not because we are truly isolated, but because we believe we are. For example, imagine sitting at home on a Saturday night, while it seems like the whole world is out laughing, dancing, clinking glasses, and making memories. That quiet apartment suddenly starts to feel like a prison. It's in these moments, the dreaded FOMO, fear of missing out, that loneliness begins to ache like an open wound. The mind starts whispering, "Everyone is living, except me." To numb that sting, many turn to instant distractions, binge-watching TV shows, mindless scrolling, alcohol, even pornography, anything to avoid feeling that emptiness. But what if we've misunderstood solitude altogether? Chinese Buddhist monk and scholar Sheng Yen once shared a story from his time in solitary retreat. He said, and I quote, "When I was in solitary retreat, I knew that I was together with all sentient beings in innumerable worlds. Even though I seemed to be alone in a small, enclosed room, actually, I was in company with many ants who found their way inside, and there were many insects around the hut who created all kinds of sounds in the evening." Thank you for staying with Live Stoic, Live Strong. It means you're seeking more than words. We're here for that journey with you. It's beautiful, isn't it? A simple hut, buzzing with life. A moment that could have felt isolating, instead became a gentle reminder that we are never truly alone. Loneliness, you see, is not a fact. It's a perception, a lens we put on, and we can change that lens. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things." In other words, it's not the situation but our interpretation of it that causes suffering. That's why some people feel most lonely in a crowd, while others feel deeply connected during a solo walk in nature. It's not about the number of people around, it's about the quality of presence within, because the truth is, everything in the universe is connected. We're made from the same dust, drink the same water, breathe the same shared air. The soil that grows your food is the same soil that nourishes the trees outside your window. We are not separate. We are part of one great living system. And when we truly realize this, how can we possibly feel alone? 3. Sit with it. Here's where things get real. Being around others all the time can become a subtle form of avoidance. It gives us a way to escape the raw, honest truth of what's happening inside us. Some people can't bear to be alone, not because they dislike solitude itself, but because they fear what might rise up in the silence. As soon as they're alone, they look for ways to numb, distract, or run from uncomfortable feelings. But solitude is not the enemy. It's a mirror. A rare chance to look inward, without interruption. To sit with the thoughts and emotions we often bury under noise and activity. Yes, this can be uncomfortable. Yes, it takes courage. But it is exactly in those quiet moments, when you finally let your guard down and stop distracting yourself, that clarity can emerge. You may discover old wounds that need healing, unmet desires, or dreams you've ignored for too long. This is where introspection begins. This is where transformation starts. And one powerful way to begin this journey inward is through meditation. In its simplest form, meditation is about observing your thoughts, your breath, the sensations in your body, not judging, not analyzing, just watching, like clouds drifting across the sky. At first, your mind may resist. It might throw 1,000 thoughts at you. But with time, something begins to shift. You start noticing patterns. You become more aware, more grounded, more at peace. And slowly, the silence becomes your friend. Now that we've begun to sit with solitude and understand its hidden power, there's still one more key piece that ties everything together. Once we dare to sit in stillness and observe ourselves honestly, we begin to notice what's been quietly shaping our emotions from beneath the surface. And from there, real transformation begins. Sometimes, what we uncover inside isn't pretty. Anxiety, irritation, fatigue, or restlessness may start to rise like waves. And that's okay, because becoming aware of what's happening within us, truly aware, without judgment, is the first step toward healing. When we allow ourselves to witness these emotions with compassion, rather than trying to escape them, something powerful happens. They begin to dissolve. Like mist under sunlight, discomforts fade when fully accepted. Of course, it's not always easy. The process might feel unpleasant, but compared to numbing ourselves with alcohol, drugs, or other instant gratifications, this is a much healthier, lasting path toward inner calm. This is what solitude offers us. A space not just to escape the world, but to meet ourselves. 4. Chase your dreams. Let's be honest. Being surrounded by people can be enjoyable. There's laughter, energy, shared stories. But there's also something subtle, something most people don't realize. When we're constantly immersed in group dynamics, we start to mirror the herd. We watch the same shows, talk about the same trending topics, echo the same opinions. It becomes comfortable, but limiting. This is the hidden cost of conformity. And sometimes, in order to build something meaningful, something that's truly ours, we need to step away. Not forever, just long enough to hear our own voice again. Because solitude isn't just a space for rest, it's a space for creation. When we remove ourselves from the crowd, we gain clarity. We start asking bigger questions. What do I really want? What would I do if no one was watching? This is where dreams begin to take shape. All achievements, every single one, requires sacrifice. And it makes perfect sense. When you're choosing to build something lasting, it's only natural to let go of some fleeting pleasures. The late-night parties, the endless social chatter, even the weekly dinners out. They can wait. What matters more is what you're building for yourself. And solitude can be the perfect vessel for that. When you're alone and deeply engaged in something meaningful, whether you're painting, writing, studying, or designing, you're no longer spending time, you're investing it. Take me, for example. When I'm writing scripts or editing videos for this very channel, I often enter a state of flow, where everything feels aligned. No noise, no longing, just presence. I could best describe it as a feeling that nothing is missing. I'm fully here, and it's enough. This feeling, this sense of fulfillment, is the exact opposite of addiction. It doesn't leave you empty. It nourishes you. And in that state, loneliness doesn't stand a chance. Solitude, when aligned with purpose, becomes not just peaceful, but deeply joyful. Thank you for your time. If one idea touched you today, come back next time. It may reach deeper. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a quiet moment. See you in the next video.